Why, hello everybody. I hope you're having an excellent day. Today, we're going to talk about everybody's favorite topic, credit cards. If you've lived in the United States for any amount of time, you've probably realized that we all kind of have to play this credit game. And, in order to be able to do simple things like rent an apartment or get a job, you need to have a good credit score. So whether we like it or not, credit cards are a fact of life. And let's dive in. So there is a big debate about credit cards, and I think that oftentimes people tend to fall into one of two camps. Either they have 15 credit cards, they can't stop talking about the wonderful benefits they're receiving, or they had a bad experience with credit cards, they cut them all up, and they just don't want to mess with them ever again. Well, I think the right answer is somewhere in the middle. Credit has a place, and there are plenty of times when it makes sense to use it, and you can get a lot of rewards out of it, but you need to be careful and responsible with your spending. So perhaps some people aren't responsible enough to handle credit cards, but for the rest of us, it can be very worthwhile. If you are just starting out with building your credit, you can always get a secured line of credit where you have a cash backstop rather than really borrowing money, and that'll help raise your score. Later on, you probably want to get some points, some of those sweet points. Well, there's three main categories. You can get cash back, you can get travel miles, or you can get points. My favorite thing to do is always go for the travel points because I just kind of like the idea of knowing that I can take off and go to the beach for free anytime I want to. However, if you don't like to travel or you need that money, that cash back, that could make a lot more sense. I would say, though, that you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck when you are going for the travel points. And one thing, too, with the travel cards that it's important to realize is that some of them force you to book the travel through their website, through their portal. Chase is one of these, and that can be good and bad. You're limited on your options, so you can't just scour the entire internet to find a deal. I've found Capital One to be pretty good because you can just go ahead and book the travel with the card and then reimburse yourself later. And that's just far easier, and then you can take advantage of deals that you're able to find on the internet. So introductory bonuses, I would say this is probably the biggest reason why anybody would ever want to get a credit card. And these can be quite lucrative. I find that they're often of a value that's similar to a round-trip ticket here domestically. But there's some really good ones. And typically you just have to complete a minimum spend in the first 3 months, 6 months, or 8 months. But mostly the times you'll see 3 months. And if you get that spend out of the way, you get a nice bonus. Also, there's another type of card that typically is for large purchases, and you can get 0% interest for the first 6, 12, or 18 months, depending on how big the purchase is. And if you don't pay all of the payments on time during that specified period, they will get you, and they will charge you all of the back interest that you would have paid, and it's usually a high interest rate. So if you're going to go with one of those, best to keep an eye on it and make sure you follow all the rules. And you always want to understand all the card's features and read that fine print because they always operate a little bit differently. It's rarely an apples-to-apples comparison when you're looking at a couple different cards. Some of them have rotating categories, like Discover is probably best known for this. Every quarter with Discover, you have to go to their website and actually activate that category for that quarter. The good thing about that, though, is that they're paying more than any of the other issuers. So I think Discover is paying something like 5% cash back with the rotating categories. So it can be pretty lucrative. And, while you might be paying a high fee on a card, it could be worth it. You have to really look at your habits, your spending habits, your travel habits, and it could be worth it. I've seen some cards where there's a high fee of several $100s, but you get some free nights at a hotel, you might get a free Uber, free check bags, and if you're somebody who travels quite frequently, that could be worth it. So you really need to be careful and look through all of the features. This goes without saying, but really you don't want to do any spending that you wouldn't otherwise be doing. So it's all well and good to have fun with these credit cards, get the rewards, but only if that spending fits into your current spending, savings, and investment plans. And you don't want to get into a cycle where you're not paying these off on a monthly basis. Because if you are paying those high interest rates, you're not really winning against the credit card company like you would if you got the travel and you paid it off on time. So you do want to monitor. I suggest once a year you go through your portfolio of credit cards, make sure that you're getting enough value for everyone that actually has an annual fee that's being charged. And if you decide you want to drop one, use caution, because it can hurt your credit score due to the fact of how long you've had it. It'll impact your length of credit history and the available credit too. So if you haven't had that card maybe as long, it might make more sense to drop it than if you've had it for 10 years, because that'll really take a hit to your length of credit. Credit cards, they're good and bad, but if you have any questions about them at all, reach out to me and we can discuss it further. I hope you have a great day.